This news update is brought to you by
Grab somebody and tell them hello. Your happiness will be connect to flow. Smile and cheer because that is we flow. Grab somebody and tell them hello. With your hands in the air, hands in the air, hands in the air, hands in the air. This is how we flow, yeah. Grab somebody and tell them this is how we flow.
It's Monday, August 17, and this is the Barbados Today Afternoon Update. I'm Fernella Wedderburn. Thanks for joining us. Topping the news this hour, there is a call for a sargassum fund to be established at the international level to address the situation facing the region. It comes from Pro-Vice Chancellor of the University of the West Indies, Professor Sir Hilary as he addressed a symposium at the university's 3Ws Oval this morning.
We have all been participated in the conversations around small island developing nations. We have all endorsed the objectives of building resilient economies in the Caribbean as small nation states. We have all been involved in these global conversations about the sustainability of islands, small nations in the global space. Herein is an endemic and systemic threat to the resilience and to development of these nations, and therefore we must have an international response to this. There is need for a sargassum support fund. We must have that response at the global level.
Sir Hilary, who described the sargassum as a new normal, says the UWI will take the lead in establishing an emergency agency to deal with the problem. He adds that if a similar approach is taken like that of Mexico in dealing with the influx, it could cost the region some $120 million and approximately 100,000 people to remove the weed.
This is suggesting to us that we are facing an international crisis. It is an international crisis. And I believe that we need to grasp the full parameter with an appropriate perspective of what we are looking at here. This is the greatest single threat to the Caribbean economy that I can imagine. We know that our economies in this hemisphere in the Caribbean are the most sluggish in terms of responding to this global recession. And there are reasons why we are sluggish in our response. It has got to do with our lack of adequate research that drives innovation, that drives diversity of economic options and so on. So we are exposed from that point of view. And this threat before us now is disturbing.
Meanwhile, UWI Principal Professor Udin Barito says the sargassum situation will be tackled head-on by the university despite inadequate funding for research.
The UWI receives inadequate funding for the necessary research for Caribbean development. The Vice Chancellor has recently emphasized the critical need for research funding in order to advance Caribbean development. Yet, in spite of this funding inadequacy, our colleagues in this regional partnership are demonstrating that we take very seriously our responsibility in creating indigenous solutions to endemic challenges. I believe we have a moral obligation to do so. The UE is ready, willing, and open to working with international experts in this area. Yet, we cannot and do not await their interest in solving what is fundamentally our problem.
In other news, parents are being urged to have early conversations about sex with their children instead of allowing them to seek information elsewhere. Sex educator Latoya Lane tells Barbados Today this lack of communication on the topic is causing problems, and she says it is time to have open and honest talks in order for children to get quality information from the right sources.
For example, I usually recommend that you start having conversations with kids about sex and sexuality from the age of 4. And it sounds weird, but you will start with good touch, bad touch. That helps and prevents children from, sexual molestation, being victims of sexual abuse. It helps them, people always talk about adults, but it also helps them to keep their peers in check. Because curiosity begets curiosity. They might be curious about what, their friends in class, does she have a vagina? I want to see it. Does he have a penis? I want to see it. And the aggression that goes along with that.
Ms. Lane was speaking during the sex shop workshop held over the weekend. 28 young people from across the island will acquire the basic skills of fire safety during this week. This as the one-week advanced fire cadet program got underway this morning at the Barbados Fire Service headquarters. Addressing participants, officer in charge of the BFS training unit, Station Officer Henderson Patrick, said the program will help teenagers engage in positive activity in order to become better citizens.
You'll be able to help us with our hazard analysis of the various communities that you live in. You'll be able to tell us about the elderly people that live in your community and be able to take a log of that information and share it with the fire department so that we can better respond to the needs of those people within your community. So you have a very significant and serious task ahead of you. But first of all, you have the responsibility to pay attention to the instructors that will be giving you this information.
A St. John teenager will appear in the District C Magistrates Court today on drug charges. 19-year-old Nico Adisa Asan Pinder of College Land is charged with possession with intent to supply, trafficking and the cultivation of 94 pounds of cannabis. Police seized the plants on a Friday in Blaze Hill. Some were under cultivation in an enclosure and the remainder was found drying in the same area.
There's regional and international news after this short break.
Secure your future, be financially strong. Since 1983, we have been there for you. A smart range of products, great tax benefits. We're the solution to your hopes and your dreams. The Barbados Workers Union Cooperative Credit Union. The Barbados Workers Union Cooperative Credit Union. Humble beginnings to smart loans, smart savings. Save smart and borrow smarter, that's the move for me. Stability, prosperity, we're the solution to your hopes and your dreams. The Barbados Workers Union Cooperative Credit Union. The Barbados Workers Union Cooperative Credit Union.
Got it in my hand, yeah. My Barbados, my bank. Got to understand, yeah. My Barbados, my bank. Ain't nothing like a core bank spare. None of them others just can't compare. You just got to love that taste. It's the world-class thing this land makes. Whether I'm cruising or at a bar, whether I'm at home, my bank spare is never far. For this blessing, got to give God thanks. My Barbados, my bank.
On the regional scene, Antigua and Barbuda makes moves to become a member of the Caribbean Court of Justice. Both the governing and opposition parties have signed a memorandum of understanding to begin consultations on amending the constitution to make the CCJ the country's final appellate court. Prime Minister Gaston Brown of the Antigua Labour Party signed the MOU with Harold Lovell, leader of the United Progressive Party, following a recent meeting with CCJ President Sir Dennis Byron. Antigua and Barbuda requires a constitutional change which would have to be approved by voters in a referendum. Only 4 CARICOM member states, Barbados, Guyana and Dominica and Belize, are full members of the CCJ. Further field carnage in Bangkok as a bomb explodes close to a shrine in the center, killing at least 16 people and injuring more than 80. Reports say a second bomb has been found in the area and made safe. Local media reports that tourists and Chinese nationals were among the casualties. We get more in this BBC report.
There are scenes of the most appalling carnage here, right in the centre of Bangkok's most popular shopping district. This is a temple next to a 5-star hotel, very, very popular with tourists coming to wish for good fortune. We heard the most enormous bang here a few minutes ago. Saw these motorbikes over there. They were ablaze. They've just put the fire out. There are bodies all over the place. People with terrible injuries. It was a very powerful blast. At the moment, we don't know what caused it, whether it was a bomb or something else, but we haven't seen these kinds of scenes before in this part of Bangkok. Very, very shocking. Terrible injuries. Just the most appalling destruction.
And that's the news. For more, log on to www.barbadoscity.pb. Subscribe to our e-paper, our email updates, and like us on Facebook. You can also catch us on Izumi Media in bus terminals or screenplay at supermarkets and gas stations near you, as well as Channel 101 online TV and Mix 96.9 FM. I'm Fernella Wedderburn. Have a great afternoon.